Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet. That thing formerly called the ARPANET, developed by whom? We the people, owned now by the billionaires after they parasitically used it and took it away from us all. Anyway, we are going to have a great program for you today. But before we get started, let's get to the experts, the genius, los genios in the studio with El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beba.
Oh, I think that Jack deserves top billing this morning.
Yes, Jack Van Beba and Howard Reynolds.
That's more like it. Huh?
All right.
Well, you know, I've got to say that I couldn't run this place without Jack. In fact, I would have to do 10 times the work that I do now if it wasn't for this man sitting right beside me. Thank you, Jack.
You're very welcome.
It is Wednesday, the 12th of February, 2025, and we have a fine show for us. I'm just resisting the urge to rant this morning.
No, you can't resist. You can't resist. You must rant. You must rant.
I'll pitch him. He'll rant.
No, people. No, you don't want to hear this rant. Well, maybe you do. What is going on with Doge?
Oh God!
These are amateur kids with laptops pouring through all of the important documents of the government. What is this? Why are we doing this? If we want an audit, get a bona fide audit company to do it. You know, you don't turn loose a bunch of kids with laptops and the sensitive documents that we have in our government. You just don't do this. This is not the way it's done. And why Congress is not screaming up and down, I'll never know. What's happening to our protections against this kind of thing? Where are they? Wake the hell up, please, and stop this nonsense. If you want accurate, proven stuff, get a professional to do it, not a techno hack and his posse of 25-year-olds. So there's my rant.
And a good one at that. But, you know, Jack, I imagine, has his version of his rant to get to the people. Jack, what's going on, buddy?
Well, okay. Good morning, Howard.
The CFPB was created under a... Whoa, that's my mistake, guys. That's my mistake. I wanted to bring Jack in, and I was going to give a fancy entry for Jack, and I screwed up. Sorry, Jack. Go for it.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Wisdom by Jack Van Beba. Let me use my announcer voice here.
All right. Looks like Trump, the GOP, and don't forget Wonder Boy Musk want to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, allowing CEOs in Wall Street to exploit the working class and the working poor with substandard consumer goods that waste your money. That's despicable. What's worse than despicable is Republicans slashing Medicaid health care for poor mothers and children to give billionaires a tax cut. Billionaires, how can you live with yourselves? Taking a tax cut from that undermines health care for poor women and children? These kinds of attacks on citizens are just bullies being mean.
Well, they don't care, Jack.
Right.
I mean, they just don't care. They got the billionaire class running the government, and they don't care about anything but money and power. That's it.
We have to make them care.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to do that. All of our protections seem to have been washed away.
Well, quit paying the people that are enslaving you. Quit paying them.
Okay.
I love that. And I concur, sir. I concur with my two brothers in the studio. Hey, look, wait, before I get started, Anything else you have to add, Brother Howard?
No.
Did I?
I'm done.
No. You good?
My rant.
All right.
My rant is finished.
All right. Okay. Just making sure. Anyway, folks, look. Let me start with what the program is titled today, what I wrote. The title of the program is GOP to gut Medicaid to pay for billionaire tax cut. And Elizabeth Warren is stating categorically that Musk is gutting the CFPB, something that she was instrumental in getting started. Okay? So that's out of the way. But I want to start this way. When this election was, during the heat of the election, a lot of people were trying to explain to our MAGA brothers and sisters, or conservative brothers and sisters, those on the right, that you couldn't quite believe the things that both Trump and Republican politicians were telling you. There are certain things that are that it doesn't matter whether you carry an R or a D or an I in front of your name, meaning Republican, Democrat, or Independent. There are certain things that are universal for all of us. All of us have parents who are on Social Security. All of us have relatives, if not ourselves, who are dependent on Medicaid because they have a disability and traditional health insurance won't cover it. There are myriad of things where government works. Let me just tell you, the reason you have the existence of Medicaid and Medicare are very specific reasons. And believe it or not, they have a lot to do with the failure of the private sector, or something the private sector cannot do. The private sector's intent is to make a profit. And you know what? That's a good thing, right? For a whole lot of businesses, that's a good thing. When I did my software, I made a profit on the products that I made. I paid the taxes on the profit that I made, but I made a profit. That's a good thing. But there are certain things that profit should not be the motive, as we talk about here all of the times. This include Medicare and Medicaid. In fact, Medicare came into existence because insurance companies couldn't make a profit insuring older people who have more health problems. That's why we needed something like Medicare. So since people couldn't afford what premiums would have to be if older people were covered, or it would be too expensive and a lot of people would forego it, the government stepped into action and said, let's create protection for older people. And that was called Medicare. And Medicare didn't matter how sick you were, how healthy you were, how old you were, as a United States citizen, a United States resident who paid into taxes all their lives, or those who are just, again, citizens, residents. The government, we the people, said, because we are humane, we would have a program to ensure that people that couldn't get insurance on the outside for their health, they would still be able to live. They would still be able to get health care, and that was Medicare. So automatically, this insurance was created for people who were older. And then it got expanded later on for other purposes. Same with Medicaid. Medicaid is for people that are poor, who could never possibly be able to pay for private health insurance, or for disabled people who insurance companies say, you're disabled, you can't work right now, you can't pay for your insurance. Therefore, the only way you can get insurance is if you are on Medicaid. Medicaid, a lot of people look at Medicaid and say, Medicaid is for poor people. Medicaid is for useless people. Well, you know what? That's not true. When my daughter got 2 strokes and left her medical school where she was insured under the medical school program, she no longer qualified for traditional health insurance, because no health insurance company is a private health insurance company not under a government plan is going to ensure a person, and she's at a young age, that has had 2 strokes. Okay? So that program was created as well for people who were disabled, people who cannot work. We're supposed to be a humane society. This isn't about charity. This is about a humane society. And that's what these programs were. Okay. Now, personally, I don't believe we should have private health insurance at all. I believe every country, like the sensible countries in the world, should have we the people, by definition, have health care. Great Britain does it, although they're going through some problems because the attempt at privatization has really screwed their system up. Canada has it. Ask which Canadian will come and replace their system with ours. And for those who say Canadians wait for a doctor, my daughter had to go see her neurosurgeon. She had to wait 3 months before she could see him. Don't talk to me about they have waiting lists in Canada. Over here in the United States, there are waiting and waiting and waiting as well. Now, if you are ultimately wealthy, you don't wait. But if you're ultimately wealthy in Canada, there are backdoors ways that you won't wait either. That's just the reality. That's just the reality of things. But anyhow, as it turns out, I don't believe we should have private health care for basic health insurance. Anyway, if you want to go into a hospital where you have pedals on your bed, where you have gourmet food, etc., private insurance can give you a policy to do all of that if you want that sort of a service. But basic healthcare should be the purview of we the people, so that everybody would have equal access to healthcare. So that healthcare, your ability to pay for healthcare doesn't determine your future. So that's what we have. Don't forget, Reagan, this is a cultural thing. Reagan claimed that healthcare was, we would jump into socialism if we had healthcare. Well, while healthcare is should be socialized, in my opinion, he forgot to tell you that we believe in free enterprise with a socialized section of our government, like the fire department, the police department, the military, and all these things, which in fact are socialized, which means we the people pay for it no matter what. So now we've established all those programs. Those programs work, some good, some not so good. The ones that don't work not so good, it's because of what the private sector has done to blow its budget. So when Elon Musk is running away about what government is doing, etc., Elon Musk has to realize that most of the overspending within government is because government uses a lot of private contractors who rip them off. You doubt it? Just go look at SpaceX and how much SpaceX is charging to go to the lab, to the space station, and how much ripping off they are doing to the American government. Is he going to go into the budget and cut the NASA program that pays him for his overpriced services? Services that he learned from we the people, the government. Elon Musk never invented a damn thing. SpaceX. All the technology from SpaceX originated with NASA, we the people of the United States. Starlink. All the technologies in Starlinks were patented originally by many others, funded by we the people. Electric cars? There's Burkina Faso, an African country, has finally decided not to depend on the Elon Musks of the world and develop their own electric cars that run in their own environment, etc., with battery produced with the raw materials in Africa that all these other companies are going for. He did nothing special. They're doing it in Burkina Faso. So there's nothing special about Elon Musk. other than being a South African who Donald Trump is enamored with. And he comes over here and he decides that he's going to go into our government and decide what needs to be done, and decide that he's going to cut, and starts with USAID, that company that provides relief all over the world with claims of waste. But again, we're back to Medicaid, folks, and Medicare. These were programs created because the private sector failed. I repeat, the private sector thought it wanted to take care of healthcare, but when it reached the point where it had to really let go some money for the elder or for the disabled, they threw their hands up in the air, and government, as government always does, came to the rescue. And what did they do? Now that the government has taken Medicare and said, I am going to rescue my American people, my people, I'm going to rescue you and make sure that you can have health care. Then the parasites come in. Hey, government, why don't you let us administer Medicare for you? Wait a minute. You couldn't do it before, but now that it's guaranteed that the government is going to pay for the health care of the elderly, now you want a piece of the action, and now you want to tell me that you can do it cheaper than the government when you couldn't do it at all? And then they pay off the politicians and they create Medicare Advantage. And Medicare Advantage is nothing more than Medicare that's more expensive. Medicare where monies are siphoned to the corporate sector. Money is siphoned to the shareholders. Money is siphoned to the executives that run these companies. And whereas Medicare may cost $8,000 or so per person, the traditional Medicare, you have to give on the average $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 to the private sector to do the same thing. You see, they get their own, they get their money. But we spend a lot of money just supporting them. And then they have you fooled, the American people, that somehow Medicare Advantage is better than Medicare, that private healthcare is better than Medicaid, which covers the poor and the disabled. And again, 80-something million Americans are on Medicaid. 80-something million Americans are on Medicaid. It's a lot of money. Elon Musk wants to give, or I should say, I gave a speech at the Kingwood area Democrats, and I said, stop blaming Elon Musk. It is Donald Trump who is ordering Elon Musk to do his thing. Donald Trump is the president, not Elon Musk. We can't defer or give Donald Trump a pass. So Donald Trump says, Elon Musk, go save us money in the government so that we can give rich people the tax cut or extend that tax cut that we promised. These people are already rich. We have a lot of people in need. But these people are already rich, and they already don't pay their fair share of taxes. It is said that if we were to get all the taxes owed on a yearly basis, we would collect another $500 or more billion per year. If we tax if people didn't have the loopholes, if they didn't hide their taxes, etc. But no, we allow them to do that. But they still want more. Tell you, these guys are psychopaths. They still want more. They want more. They want more. So Elon Musk has to find money. So there are two things Elon Musk uses to decide how he is going to find money. Numero uno, any agency in which he had a problem with, whether that be the FAA, who fined his SpaceX for having spaceships that blow up and pollute many of the areas where it blew up. Numero uno. Numero dos, people who fined him for his business practices. Numero tres, people who scrutinized him for his how he employs people. So he goes after those people under the tutelage of Doge. But secondly, he also decides to go after the low-hanging fruit. He starts with the USAID. Many Americans are of the false belief that America gives a large percentage of our budget for foreign aid. False, less than 1%. USAID is $40 billion. Okay? So they go after USAID. They figure they'll get a few $1 billion from that. They need about $2 trillion. So they're starting, right? We can get a $30 or $40 billion from USAID and lie about all this fraud that is occurring in the USAID. But of course, USAID, a lot of the food that it gives away to all these other countries, peanut butter, flour, corn, all of that's coming from the Midwest. So $2 billion of that $40 billion go to farmers in the Midwest. And these farmers are screaming now, Elon Musk has stopped paying the bill. As many of the stuff are out there in fields unable to be delivered or rotting. Elon Musk. Again, they claim Elon Musk is a genius. Elon Musk is not a genius. Elon Musk is a parasite. Elon Musk couldn't write a piece of code worth selling. And I know that from the source. He's not a smart person. He's a privileged person. There's a difference between privileged and smart. Privileged people get things because of who they are. As an example, Pete Hegseth, completely unqualified for the job. He gets it. Privileged, and has the nerve to talk about meritocracy. No, DEI guarantees meritocracy. DEI is one of the programs that supports meritocracy. In other words, the Pete Hegseth in a DEI world would not be hired because he's an incompetent, drunken fraud. Okay, but we're talking about Medicaid, so I digress. Elon Musk decided that he could get a whole lot out of USAID. But what else did he say? Or what else is he doing? Republicans are now in Congress, Mike Johnson, looking at a huge, big pot. There's $800 billion they're hoping to siphon off Medicaid over 10 years. But now they're scared. Because who are the people that are mostly on Medicaid? You know, it's easy when you start to believe your lies, you make mistakes. They believe the lie that this USAID is so corrupt when a lot of their own people depend on the USAID, and when they shut it down, they harm a lot of MAGA. I went to my Democratic meeting, and one of my friends said her daughter works for another agency. Her job is gone. Guess who works there? A lot of folks who voted for Donald Trump works there. It's gone. Now, Medicaid. Remember what we talk about a whole lot. Red states are beggar states. What I mean by that is the following. The states that give the most to the federal government, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, these are blue states that have good healthcare programs, high taxes to cover their people's needs, and high taxes to cover red states' needs. Because red states are takers. They take more from the federal government than they put into the federal government, so they are welfare states. And how do they take from the government? It's not just military we're talking about. We're talking about more of their people are on Medicaid, more of their people are sicker, more of their people are uneducated, thus requiring a whole lot of other services provided by the government. So when you start talking about cutting programs, while it sounds good when you're doing rah, rah, rah at a Trump rally, a lot of them people at the Trump rally are on Medicaid. A lot of those people on the Trump rally are on food stamps, SNAP. All these people in these red states are on government aid. You go into Appalachia, 50% of certain counties are on government programs. So while in order to freak out their base, they will have you believe that it's a certain kind of people that are on a government stipend, it does not where most of the money goes. When the lie has to be implemented, it is those who get harmed. It is those who get hurt. So we warned you before the election. We told you that what Project 2025 said. Project 2025 wasn't for the average MAGA person. Project 2025 wasn't only an ideological document. Project 2025 was there to cut government, was there to throw government in the bathtub. And the thing about it is because red states are more dependent on the government than anyone else, and that all the private sector now claims they would take over all these things at a fee, your lives will be made very, very difficult. As was said in this in the article that I am following here, GOP ready plan to cut Medicaid to pay for tax cuts. But there's one part of there. GOP told senior Republicans that before they pull the trigger, they have to make sure that Trump doesn't double cross them. In other words, when the Republicans come out and say cuts to Medicaid is how we're going to pay for the tax cuts for the wealthy. And when MAGA starts to find out that they are the ones that are getting the most cuts, and Trump sees the reaction, the Republicans or Congress are now concerned that he'll immediately go ahead, blame them and say, you can't do it, come out looking like the hero and screw them. Because we know Donald Trump is not going to take it. Anyway, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that is 713-526-5738. I think Bard's on the line. Brother Bard, talk to me.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Message to all the listeners. Good morning. The government is not coming to save you. You have to take personal responsibility for yourself. There was a deal with Karine Jean-Pierre, who reminds me a lot of you. They asked her if any FEMA funds were going to illegal aliens. She said no. Now, it's proven that this African-American, Elon Musk, last week figured out that FEMA had sent $59 million to New York City, $59 million of your tax dollars to New York and other cities to house illegal aliens. They are renting luxury hotels for illegals.
Right. Okay. Let's go ahead. Now let's go ahead and point out why. Okay. Stop now. Hold on. I need to answer that lie that you just gave. Okay. Now here's the thing, folks. What Bart said is it's only a partial lie. Let's explain certain things. When folks come over to this country by international law, if they claim asylum, they have to be let into the country, and after they're let into the country, they have their day in court. That's international law. One of the things with the uneducated, as I'm not Bard, I'm not done. Okay, be quiet. Now, as I said, international law. These people requested asylum. Now they will be taken care of until their asylum is determined, and they're either deported or they get a visa to stay in the United States. That's the law. Now, what the right wing likes to do, and folks like Bart that just simply take information that he gets and takes it to be true, is they don't understand the realms of internationality or any of these issues. Now, they talk about they're putting them in luxury hotels, right? They're putting them where they can find space. And sometimes luxury hotels are where there is space, and they just buy those rooms up in bulk and put the people there. It's nowhere sinister like these right-wingers would like to put it. It is something known as being humane. Now, I do have an issue with the way immigrants, these asylum seekers are coming into the country. And when they come into the country, they get, they get support. I think that same level of support should be given to our poor. But our poor, again, we don't see things the way that we should in the way we deal with our poor. So what happened because of the way things go with our undocumented workers right now and the asylum seekers is that the poor goes out there and they say, my God, I've been in this country all my life. I'm trying to make it. And here are all these undocumented workers coming in here and they get to a place to stay, etc. I am poor and my country does nothing for me. And those poor people are correct. My poor folks in Appalachia are correct. My poor folks in the ghettos are correct. My poor folks in the barrios are correct. We need to have programs that make sense. But because we have psychopaths that are pretty much running a lot of this stuff, we don't get it. And because we have people like our brother Bart, whose mind is easily convinced with its gullibility, that is the reason we can't make progress. Okay, change next subject. Go ahead. Go ahead. Next subject.
Okay. It's not the United States' responsibility to be the babysitter of the world. We're not here to feed the world. We got enough problems.
Look, I'm not asking. Wait, Bart. I am not asking
this law. I don't care about international law.
Well, you don't
care about international law.
I understand that. I know you're a troglodyte. You don't care about international law, but if you are partaking of international, you trade. You have to care about international law. And that's what I tell you, Republicans make you not Republicans, the conservative make you not think. If you trade with the rest of the world, which we do, if we have bases around the world, which we do, if we have existences around the world, which we do, there is a compact with it around the world that one must follow if you're integrated with the world. So that troglodytic form of thinking, my dear brother, is something that hurts. Next person. David, let's come on in.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. Yeah, at the risk of humiliating that last caller, are we coming on 1,000 years since the Magna Carta?
Yeah. Yes.
1100. Yeah. So the idea that humans finally were able to force a king to admit that he wasn't in charge, and it was the idea that if these kings pretended to be chosen of God, and so they could tell us what to do, right? Well, turns out the king was taking the taxes and having a party with it, and not looking out for every sparrow. And so the kings were finally put on a leash almost 1,000 years ago, and Elon Musk and his rich buddies don't want to follow the social contract anymore. They don't pretend to be put in charge by God. They just have a whole bunch of numbers that they can dream up. And so the longer we endure believing their dumb numbers, oh, this crypto is worth this Doge, this, that. They're doing a shell game with the value of your life and the life of the planet.
David, I couldn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could not have said that any better. And why I got Bart to say something. Once he said, we are America. We don't care about the rest of the world. It shows a degree of ignorance, that that is promoted by the Elon Musk of the world. You remember when Donald Trump said, I love dumb people, right? He said that. And the reason he said that is you listen to what Barr just said, and he makes it quite clear. We are not insular. We are 4.5% of the population and very dependent on the rest of the world, just like the rest of the world is dependent on us for other things. I mean, we are an interdependent world. And if you're an interdependent world, you have to have laws that govern how things work among countries. And that's what we have. And for the right to teach their people, we don't care. It's all about America, America first, etc. It defies. It's a loss of words when you see how preposterous that thinking process is. But continue, my brother David.
Yeah, well, it's just sad. International trade has caused so many problems. Like we've got trees, vast forests in America are dying because of invasive species. And these fat cats that say, I can bring this junk into my country with or without inspections. Good God, these people, they used to say farmers were dumb, but it's now, Fox News watchers that don't even have enough, they don't get outside enough to know the trees are dying.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call it ivory tower, but it's kind of worse now because it's, people that sit and watch the dumb boob tube all day long and have no sense of reality, but they have a position of power. And, the tax accountants and lawyers for rich dummies, they think they can defy the laws of gravity, actually. There's an old Jules Verne story. I think it was called Topsy Turvy. And it was about a guy that wanted to buy the metal out of the North Pole. And, what would that do to the world's compasses? What would it do to... Yeah, I mean, insane, right? And they're trying to do it now.
It is an inability to critically think. In other words, it always sounds good to say take care. It's like I gave the example of us taking good care of the undocumented when they get here, but we should also take good care of the poor. But the way they are taught to think, not critically think, but the way they are taught to think is, why don't we take care of our poor here? They miss the point. It's not mutually exclusive. Both things need to be done. And the thing about America is America has the funds to do it. We just happen to decide that we allow a few psychopaths to siphon most of the wealth of the country. And we have to change that economic model in such a manner that everybody has equal access. Yesterday, we spoke about AI and why we need regulations in AI and why AI really is a good thing if regulated and we all benefit from it. I gave the speech about, today I talk about Medicare, how it came into existence and how the private sector is about to screw us or has been screwing us, and how the Republicans with what they're going to do with Medicaid are going to screw most of them, their own MAGA base. I've spoke about that as well. And still with explaining that with fact-based information, we have folks that will listen to that. It'll go over their head and they will watch their people suffer. It's shameful. It's inhumane. It is sad. David, I got to go to Augie. Anything else real quick before I jump?
Well, I was just going to say the sense of self-preservation has disappeared from people who stay in boxes all the time.
Exactly.
In the old days, people would have crawled through glass to get Medicaid. Now they're listening to some fat cat say it's too expensive to give. Oh,
God, yeah.
So if insulin is really $30 a month and Trump jacked it like he did, just lean on that issue. That's one thorn. What is it? Half of America is about to become diabetic, and they're going to play games with insulin.
You don't do that. Thank you, David. I got to go to Augie. Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, let's go to Augie. Brother Augie, talk to me.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you said something about farmers going to lose $2 billion because of U.S. aid, but they're also going to lose, on top of that, they're going to lose China's money too that buys American agriculture.
Exactly.
They've already lost Canada's. They stopped buying American. They took all their liquor off the shelves, and everything American-made products are being taken off the shelves. So other countries are stopping buying American. And the Mexican president, she talked to Trump and told him what she thought of him. And if you like guacamole, 90% of avocados come from Mexico. Most of our tomatoes come from Mexico too. And think of what that's going to do to the other groceries. And I know people voted for Trump this time because he said he was going to lower prices. As soon as he was elected, one of the first questions he was asked is, "Are you going to bring prices down?" "Oh, I can't do that. It's too hard." And the first time he was elected, and after he was elected, then he was asked a question about the people that voted for him and what he thought of him. And he said the people that voted for him then were suckers. He called all those people that voted for him and supported him were suckers. And they were. And they still are.
Look, that is just how it is, Augie. But like I said, one of the things that we do here is we inform with the expectation that, there's a lot of elections coming up, not only here not only every 2 years, but every year. Virginia will have elections next year, or actually this year, I think Virginia has elections. And we'll see if we can start getting those changes. People can see the mistakes that they made in this last election. Many people have pretty much screwed themselves. But again, like I told the folks that I spoke to last week, we have to give folks a place to land. But when we have folks like Bart call in with misinformation to misinform the base, it is time for us now not to give them the platform to promote their lies. We have to call it out as insidious, as silly, as uninformed as it is right away. Augie, give me a last word so I can get to Anthony.
Well, Ornstein had Chris Tomlinson. He's a editor on the business
at Chronicles, yeah.
At the Chronicle, and man, everybody should read him on Sunday when the Sunday paper comes out. You'll be informed of a lot of stuff that's going on, and I'm glad she had him on. But anyway, lots of luck for everybody that voted for Trump.
Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, let's go to Anthony. Come on in, Anthony.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, sir.
The people calling in, and I agree with most of them except for one, of course, that called in that's ill-informed. But I think the ironic thing about this Medicaid, Medicare argument is the fact that the people, or a vast majority of people that voted for Trump, is like you said, they're going to be the ones that's going to be most impacted if those programs are significantly reduced. And so we have 49% of the population that basically voted against their own interest. And they did it not because they're stupid, because I really don't believe that people that voted for Trump are necessarily stupid. They're just ill-informed. They get their news from news sources that don't give them the correct information. And so they don't have really a good basis to decide on who they should be voting for. And a prime example is people like Mitch McConnell. He's been a senator in the Senate longer than any senator that I'm aware of in the United States Congress history. He's a senator from Kentucky. But when you look at the statistics of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, almost 40% of the people that live in Kentucky are on welfare. And so it begs the question, okay, so they year after year after year, they keep reelecting Mitch McConnell because he convinced them that instead of having coastal elites on the East Coast or the West Coast telling people in the Commonwealth of Kentucky what they should be doing, they can elect him. He goes to Congress as the Senate Majority Leader And what does he do for them? Absolutely nothing. The Commonwealth of Kentucky has almost 40% of the population on welfare, and he's been in Congress for over 30 years. So common sense would say he's the Senate Majority Leader. He's been in Congress longer than almost any, if not any, senator in the history of the Senate, but yet the Commonwealth of Kentucky is literally a welfare state. So what has he done? How do these Republicans, and that's not the only example, Tennessee, Louisiana, all these states,
Mississippi, Alabama, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They all have these high percentage of their population on welfare. These people are now have voted against their own interests because, as you said, it's always the poor that pays the ultimate price. People, the Elon Musk of the world, they're billionaires. They could lose $30 billion tomorrow in the stock market, and it wouldn't even put a dent in their portfolio. But if these people that are on welfare, if they lose $30 a month, they got to start eating dog food and cat food. Okay, so it just boggles my mind how these people are literally voting against their own interests. These people that are on Medicare and Medicaid that need it the most, because we know Elon Musk could care less about Medicare and Medicaid, just like he doesn't care about USAID and all the starving children that are going to die because of the decisions that he's making right now. But the reality is these people voted for Trump. He is in charge, although we all know there's puppet masters in the background pulling the strings, this billionaire class. Trump wants to be in that billionaire class, and he'll do anything to get in that circle and stay in that circle. And so here we are. We've got 49% of our population voted this guy in, and he's going to burn the whole house down. And
well, you know, Anthony, and that's why instead of disengaging, that's why I believe in engaging. And one of the things that I told the group last week, and I'm going to tell another one this week, is that we don't ever give up, and we speak to everybody that we can. And in as much as we have those that call in here that are completely deceived or gullible or however you want to call it, this conversation that we're having here, there are many that are on the fence, or many that have just been there's a trucker that just accidentally hit the channel and heard what you just said, that you're going to have him thinking. So thank you so kindly, Anthony. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Thank you very much.
All right, let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Buenos dias, el profesor Egberto Willies. Good morning to you, Howard, and good morning, Jack. Well, this is, I just have to try to enlighten Bard. Maybe he is aware of this. But as El Professor Egberto Willies is always talking about on this show and his 3 o'clock show, we have to critically think. Now, what do I mean by critically think? Bard, there's something called immigration, custom, and enforcement. Now, what should happen is these people that hire these people in these companies, you're up here talking about babysitting the rest of the world. If you don't hire those people, guess what? They can't come here, but they can seek asylum, become legal, and they can get their visa as Egberto was stating. But if you don't hire them, they need to go after the people hiring undocumented people, and they won't come here. But really what it is, Bart, you don't want people that come from Egberto's country or some of these islands from the south of the border that don't look like you. If they look like you, then you don't care if they come from Europe or Canada. That's what you're really saying.
Thank you very much, Harry. I appreciate your call, my brother. I missed you a couple of days. Great to hear your voice. We'll talk.
Well, like I said, Egberto, what I do is when I don't call, I listen to your show, I listen to Mike Woodson's show, and there's things I learn because you can learn things also by listening. When I have something to say, I will call. And if I have to ask you a question or something, or ask Michael a question, I will call.
Thank you, my brother. Harry or Goodman, thank you so kindly. Let's go to Betty. Betty, talk to me, my sister.
Well, I'm gonna join in on getting on Bart. Bart and Brian, they are partners in crime. They called conversation. They called conversation last week, and they were back to back. So they are partners in crime. And Bart is always so glad, and I'm sure he'll be so glad to get his tallywhacker out of a SNAP perk.
I don't know what that means, but it sure sounds funny.
Well, you'll catch on. But all the women hate him, even women from out of state, they really hate him and that. But anyway, he'll be so glad when he gets that taken care of. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sweetheart. You have a wonderful rest of your day. I love me some Betty. You know, Betty always keeps me smiling. All right, let's go. Brother Brian, talk to me.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the volunteer work.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. One of your callers asked, why don't I give out some numbers? Well, here's some numbers. And you're going to disagree with them, but they're factual. Some time ago, DeSantis sent up 50 illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard. Within 28 hours, they were moved to a military base, unvaccinated, undocumented, off the property of Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard has right around 40,000 permanent residents. You tell me they can't consume 50 illegal aliens, such as gardeners, plumbers, things like that? No, they can't. President Trump wanted $5 billion to build a wall. He was stopped every step of the way, denied due process of law. He finally went through the Pentagon and got the wall started. It cost $5 billion. How many billions of dollars has New York City alone spent this year housing illegal aliens? $7 billion. Where's the math? Tell me the math.
I am trying to figure out what we're saying here. First of all, building a wall in our technological times is rather small thinking, to put it bluntly. It is stupid. And when Biden and even Kamala talked a little bit about putting a wall up, etc., it makes no sense. You don't need a wall. A wall can be defeated. It's much better to have electronics and all kinds of technology to do things. If a virtual wall is a lot more effective than a solid wall. Troglodytic thinking, as I stated before, you have to think out of the box. Secondly, if you want to control immigrations, control the policies that affect these countries south of the border, something that we don't do. Again, that requires critical thinking and understanding the problem and not just knee-jerk reacting. With regards to putting away people in Martha's Vineyard, you should know something that all of us would agree on. Rich people, no matter whether they're liberal, progressive, conservative, or whatever, they live in their own stratosphere. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Those 50 people could have stayed there and be absorbed. I mean, they had open arms in the beginning, but we understand how a lot of rich people feel about humanity. A lot of them are in fact psychopaths. We know that. Not all I'm saying, but we know that. So we probably could agree on that one. With regards to spending $5 billion in New York, well, I don't know what it costs I hadn't seen that. May I finish?
$7 billion.
You said 7 billion? Okay, 7 billion. Okay, 7 billion in New York. I haven't. Are you? Did I let you speak?
Oh,
thank you.
For letting me speak.
Okay, so good. So my brother. So be quiet for a while and let me answer. Thank you. I mean, I gave everybody a chance to speak, sir. All right, the $7 billion. I don't have those numbers. I hadn't seen those numbers. I find those numbers rather inflated if that's what they spent. Again, I'm going to tell you, the private sector have a great way of ripping off government. But anyhow, anything else, Brian, before we go?
Yeah, how many murders have illegal aliens committed so far?
Nowhere close to what the average American. Again,
No.
sir, you asked the question, sir.
There was an illegal alien in Cleveland, Texas, that shot and killed 5 people in Cleveland, Texas.
Okay, again, Brian, yes, I do. I know the story. Brian, before I go, I just want to tell you this. Listen to me with open ears and open mind and hear this. Critical thinking is important. You can't look at 1, 2, and 3 incidents and create policies or think about it as 1, 2, or 3 incidents. May I finish? You
can't. About 56.
Hey, Howard, can you believe he's telling me what I can do on our show, man? It's amazing, isn't it? Anyhow, Brian.
Brian, Brian is above comment.
Oh my God!
Trump are mano a mano. Trump's above the law. Brian's above our rules.
You let other people talk.
All right.
Talk in 2 minutes. You don't let me go on for 35 seconds without stopping me up.
Because you lie, it doesn't take much time before you say something that's a lie.
Lying, man. I give you numbers.
All right, sir, I gotta go. Right, but I love you, Brian. You're always my good buddy. All right, take it away, Howard.
Well, I think the proportion of murders and such is pretty low compared to the crossings over the into the country. Mm-hmm. Most of our domestic people, they murder each other at a much higher rate. So yes, there are going to be some murders. Yes, there are going to be some illegal problems. There's some problems with illegals, but there's problems with natural born citizens too. So, I mean, you can't take a couple of examples and say, okay, we're going to make a policy on this. It's also a very complicated issue too.
Yes, it is so complicated. I mean, in Panama, we had an American go out there and shot 2 teachers to death. You don't hear Panamanians demeaning the American that did that as illegal, come over here and kill 2 people. It happens. But anyway, go Jack.
All right. Cheyenne, the orangutan in the Houston Zoo, died at 52 today.
Oh,
gas prices soar under Trump.
Thank you for that, brother. Folks, the rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. Remember, this show belongs to you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies.